Sleigh bells ringing, diamonds blinging, carols singing.
Hi friends, it's Gwen. Welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk to you about the books that I DNF'd this year. DNF stands for did not finish, and there can be a variety of reasons why I DNF a book. So I thought I would share the 16 books that I have DNF'd this year, and this is as of this moment. There might be more. It's never planned. It just kind of happens. But I've always been a big fan of DNFing books, and I feel like it's really helped my reading and allowed me to feel freer in my reading. But I also challenge myself too. I'm a part of several book clubs, and I definitely pick up books that, you know, I would not have picked up if it were, you know, up to me, if I was just buying books and reading books that I'm interested in. But some of these are definitely books that I was interested in, and it just didn't work out for whatever reason. So we're going to go through them, but I'm going to try to do this in the most like positive light ever, because while I realize that I didn't like these, I chose to give up on them, there are other people out there that absolutely love these books. There's like two in particular that I think you guys are going to be really shocked by. Maybe not shocked that I personally DNF'd them, but that anybody DNF'd them. So let's go ahead. I'm going to tell you why I initially was interested in the book, and then what made me give up on the book. And I will also share the Goodreads average star rating and how many ratings it has as of right now, this moment, just to give you a better understanding that like some of these books are good books. They're just not good for me. And then I thought to spread the love, and just because I DNF it doesn't mean you shouldn't pick it up. I have some 5-star reviews from other people in the community, and I'm going to share their reviews with you. So while I DNF'd it, they gave it 5 stars, you know? So hopefully that puts a good spin on this, but I just thought I would share the books that I gave up on. Starting with Dead in Gondola by Anne Claire. This has an average star rating of 3.51 with 2,000 ratings. I gave up on this one on chapter 25, page 197. That's insane. So this is a cozy mystery. I love the cover. I know some of my friends that have read it and adored it. I love Agatha Christie, and this is like kind of like a spin on that. There's a book club. It's a snowy environment. I just thought this was going to be everything, and I could not care less. It really could not hold my attention, and I got lost with all of the characters and the plot, so I just gave up on it. But for my 5-star review, like I said, I don't know necessarily any of the people. Well, I do know a couple, but I don't know this particular person. But Debbie says this was a delightful, lighthearted cozy with a book-loving family of unofficial private investigators who own the book chalet in the small town of Last Word, Colorado. Ellie, our narrator, and her older sister Meg, Meg's daughter Rosie, and Graham start pulling out their inner Miss Marples and exercising their little gray cells after a stranger who burst into their book club meeting Saturday morning ends up in the gondola ahead of Meg and Ellie that evening, murdered. Then their employee disappears and a rock slide traps the killer in their town. This was an enjoyable read with characters whose book club I'd love to be a part of. I appreciated the close family relationships. Rosie was a likable teenager. I don't remember any bad language, and there was only a hint of romance. Definitely pick it up if you are interested. I'm not trying to sway you away from any of these books. Next up on my list is Romantic Comedy by Curtis Sittenfeld, and this has an average star rating of 3.64 with 213,000 ratings. Very popular. This was a Reese's book club pick, so I think that's why it has that many star ratings. Also, the cover is really gorgeous, but I DNF'd this one on page 100. And for this one, I said I was extremely bored. I made it 2 100 pages before I just couldn't push through anymore. I was hoping to make it to the email portion of the story because I saw some reviews saying that that was their favorite part. Of course, others said the opposite, but I was hopeful. This felt like a behind the scenes look at the creation of Saturday Night Live skits and stuff. Maybe a romance developed. I'm not really sure. I didn't get that far. And just to give you an insight into the opposite side of things, Chris says, I loved all of Curtis Sittenfeld's novels, but this one was a particular joy. First of all, I savor Saturday Night Live, and the table is set in a fictional version that is filled with details about how the real SNL functions, and Sittenfeld's fictional sketches are a how. Second, the ending gave me, as we like to say, all the feels. It's emotionally smart, and each beat of the pendulous romance is moving and genuine and an absolute delight. So definitely pick it up if you are interested. Tons of people have liked this one, and there's something to be said about all of these books I DNF'd. Some of them have high, average star ratings. Some of them have quite low average star ratings, but I was still able to find a 5-star review for every single book that I'm going to talk to you about. So like I said, take my thoughts with a grain of salt. Next up on my list is Wellness by Nathan Hill. And I picked this up because it was compared to Tomorrow, Tomorrow, and Tomorrow. And even though I DNF'd it on page 65, I definitely think that it had those vibes. This one has a 3.99 average star rating with 56,000 ratings. I just could not get into this one. The writing was interesting, but the plot was non-existent. And it's a very long book, so I just was like not into that. But Jordan from Jordy's Book Club says, quick take, it's an instant classic. I couldn't put it down and I loved every second of it. That's all. So that's all you really need to know going into that. Next up is The Idea of You by Robin Lee. I picked this up because one of my friends was absolutely raving about this. Typically like a reverse age gap where the woman is older and the guy is younger. And I have read that before and I loved it. And this one has like a rock star twist to it. So that's why I picked it up. But I ended up DNFing this one on page 37 because I was just so extremely bored. This one has a 3.76 with 154,000 ratings. And I think the reason why this one has so many star ratings is number one, it's definitely like a backlist book, but also the movie released. So this one does have a book to movie adaptation. I have not watched the adaptation, but I would be interested in checking it out. So our 5-star review for this one, I am definitely licking my wounds today with this book. So heartbreakingly good. Definitely a 5-star read. What I loved about this is reverse age gap. This is my first older woman, younger man story. Harry Styles, whom I love, is the muse in this boy band and the object of Celine's affection, although he pursued her at almost 20 years old. This book gave me butterflies and full-on feels. It was real life and just so painfully tragic, but so beautiful. Hayes Campbell stole my heart and made me squirm. He was the personification of sexy and so masculine beyond his years. The way he says hi made me melt. I didn't want this to end, but alas, all good things must at some point. So it sounds so cute from that review, right? Okay, next up is The Main Character by Jacqueline Goldis. And I did get this as an ARC, so this is my technical DNF of the ARC. But I picked this up because it reminded me, the synopsis reminded me of Murder on the Orient Express, and it's supposed to be a modern reimagining of that. I tried several times to push through this because the publisher did send me the art, like the physical art copy of this, and I wanted to love it. This one has a 3.34 with 1.6K ratings. I DNF'd this on page 174. So I definitely did give this one a go. What did I say about this one? I might come back to it. I might not. I didn't. And like I said, I DNF'd it on page 174. So a 5-star review for this, even with a 3.34. This person, Meg, said this was a great read, but it's going to be impossible book to review without spoilers, since basically everything is a clue or a hint or foreshadowing. I love the setting, blending a retro mystery luxury train with modern tech, bro-health startup secrets, and modern day immigrant secrets. The relationships are believably complicated and mystery novel dramatic. So good. So if it sounds good to you, like, definitely pick it up. Okay, this next one is gonna hurt for some of you guys. I DNF'd The Reformatory by Tana Reeve Dew, and I DNF'd this on page 85. It has a 4.46 average star rating with 26,000 ratings. So for this one, I said I tried, I really did, but ultimately I'm extremely bored and I will basically do anything but pick up this book. And that's how I know I'm not enjoying a book. I'm like, let me do anything else. Let me vacuum my house. Let me fold laundry. Let me do dishes. Let me take a shower. Let me shave my legs. Let me pluck my eyebrows. Let me give myself a manicure. Let me rearrange my bookshelf. Let me clean the bathroom. Like, I will do anything but read the book. That's how I know I'm not enjoying it and I need to just let it go. I made it to page 85 and it took me 4 days to get there. I don't read a ton of historical fiction to begin with, and the pacing is super slow, so it didn't exactly pull me in like I needed it to. Plus, no offense to poor Gloria, but I don't care what's going on in her life. I want to hear more about Robert. His portions are the most interesting, and they are few and far between. I'm glad this story is out there in the world for other readers to discover and love, but it's just not for me. So there are tons, obviously, with this high average star rating. There are tons of 5-star reviews out there. But I was trying to find like short reviews, you know, and so this one says, it is wonderful to see Dew quickly becoming a household name for the horror reader. She deserves it. The Reformatory, which is based on the events of the Dozer School for Boys, and follows little Robert Stevens unjustly landing in this hell, as well as his sister Gloria's sturdy efforts to get him out of there, is just further proof of her writing talent and narrative aptitude. Dew does everything right in this utterly moving book. Most of the reviews for this book are pages, and like I said, I was trying to do like short little reviews, but like I said, not for me, but for tons of you out there. Next up is Everyone Who Can Forgive Me Is Dead. This came in a book box, so did The Reformatory. Everyone Can Forgive Me Is Dead by Jenny Hollander. This has a 3.27 average star rating with 8,000 ratings. I DNF'd this on page 84. I don't even remember if I really even had that much to say about it, but DNF page 84, very bored, long chapters, too many characters. And that's like a perfect recipe for me to DNF a book. But someone out there rated it 5 stars. They said, this book is the best kind of thrill ride ever. Charlie and Trip are engaged, but Charlie is worried about fitting in with his wealthy family. She sees a therapist trying to unravel the past, which she has blocked because of terrible events. Nora tries to help her slowly unravel the events, but in the meantime, Charlie is confronted with the news that her college friend Stephanie, a big-time anchor woman, is doing an expose about that horrible time. Charlie attempts to speed up her progress, but it's too terrifying to remember. Told in an then and now format, the novel ramps up the action until I was breathless waiting to know the truth, and I may still be hyperventilating a little. Wow. So if I read that review, I'd want to read it. So definitely check it out if it sounds like something that you're interested in. The next book is another kind of modern cozy mystery called How to Solve Your Own Murder by Kristen Perrin. This has an average star rating of 3.79 with 50,000 ratings. Another book I got in a book box. I DNF'd this one on page 22 because of the writing. I just really did not like the writing, but Heather Reed says, I absolutely loved this. It was such a fun murder mystery whodunit modern day style with flashbacks to the past told via the format of journal entries. I loved the female main character and the bond she found with her deceased aunt through investigating her murder. 5 stars, fully recommend. So like, high praise. Next up, Baby X by Kira Pinkoff. This has an average star rating of 3.85 with 4,000 ratings. And guys, I tried this book multiple times. I just could not get into it. Again, with the writing, it was just not my thing. But Sarah says, wow, 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 this was such a good book. I'm actually sad it's done with. I wanted more about their lives. I didn't expect the turn in this book at all, and I didn't feel like it was easily guessed. I loved the attention to detail of what the world is like in 2050. So like I said, again, pick up these books if they sound good to you. Form your own opinion. I mean, I always say that. So next up is Saint X. And this book, again, with the writing, I just really didn't like it. I was really bored. This one also has a show, like a book to show adaptation, and I couldn't even get into the show. But this book has a 3.39 average star rating with 28,000 ratings. So I'm surprised it even got a show, to be honest. It wasn't for me, but it was for this person. The complete obsession with a dead family member, a murdered family member. This immediately reminds me of a murder mystery thriller, and it's of the literary variety. Then there will be a pathos-infused resolution or conclusion. All roads lead to the finding of the killer and the reconciliation with the victim. St. X puts you in vacation island mode. What occurs to visitors, what attitudes of nonchalance they adopt. They're all chronicled with such vibrancy that only a young artist could have brought out such colors. The real story is about the division of classes and sexes and races. The sister is the victim here. The author actually implies that we're all victims of circumstance, even affluent white girls. There's your 5-star review for that. Next up, Saturday Night at the Lakeside Supper Club by J. Ryan Stradle. This has a 3.63 rating with 26,000 ratings. I picked this up because I loved the cover. The synopsis sounded good, and I found it at the book exchange. And then I just didn't like the writing pretty much right away. I didn't even like mark what page because I didn't get very far at all. But Roxane Gay, the author Roxane Gay, gave it 5 stars, and she does not give a lot of books 5 stars, but she gave this one 5 stars, and she said this is a perfect book. So like, you might want to look into it. No, that review doesn't tell you much, but like, need I say more? Next up was Vacationland by Meg Mitchell Moore. I have read one other book by this author, and I just thought it was okay. So I think this author is not for me. I love this cover, obviously. It has a 3.72 average star rating with 13,000 ratings. I did not mark what page I stopped on or anything like that because I DNF'd it fairly early on. But this 5-star review says Christy leaves her Maine after her mother dies. She has less than $800 to her name and a past that needs some healing. Louisa is in Maine and her children for the summer. She needs to write her book, help her mother, and enjoy time with her father, who has Alzheimer's diagnosis. That was another reason why I was interested in it. Little does she know the family secrets that will be unveiled. Family, heartache, healing, hope, and a brilliant Maine background. I loved this book. So it sounds, again, like something I would love, but it just didn't work for me for whatever reason. All right, next up is a book that, while I usually say a book is for everyone, I'm not going to really say that in this one, but there are people out there that liked it. So if you're willing to take a chance on it and it sounds good to you, go for it, but like, it's not good. Raiders of the Lost Heart by Joe Segura. It has a 3.43 average star rating with 15,000 ratings. I DNF'd this on page 187. And the only reason I made it so far in is because I was buddy reading it. Obviously, action adventure, Tomb Raider, you know, Raiders of the Lost Ark, like all of the things are making me want to read this book. The cover, everything. It's just too much body talk, too much lusting, too much non-sex, but then sexualizing each other, and I just can't anymore. So I was buddy reading this with my friend Melissa, and we both felt the same way, and we both DNF'd it. But like I said, there's a book for everybody, and Sophia loved this one. This was everything I dreamed of when I first found out about this book. I loved it so much. The characters are two chaotic, lovable archaeologists who have been insane for each other for 8 years, but also hate each other. The quest and adventure just add more and more fun to the plot without adding any heavy or overly intense elements. This was truly an adventurous rom-com of my dreams. Like, need I say more? They sold it. They loved it. So you might too. All right, so we have 3 more to go. Next up is I Am Pilgrim by Terry Hayes. I picked this up because I heard it was like an espionage, spy, thriller, action-packed, fast-paced, like around the globe. I heard this recommendation on a Bookish podcast, and I was like, sounds really good, like sign me up. I've never read anything by this author before. I knew the new book just came out this year, something about the locust, and yeah, I was just really excited about the way that the host described the book. It has a 4.30 average star rating with 182,000 ratings, so like definitely take other people's word for it, don't take my word for it. And I DNF this like at the end of chapter 7, like going into chapter 8. I'm kind of sad because I was enjoying parts of it. Like I was really enjoying parts of it. The first 7 chapters were 5-star quality, but then I quickly became bored with the main character's backstory, and I just did not feel like pushing through 500 pages of that. So that's when I DNF'd it. But Anthony says, wow, sometimes one gets really lucky. You pick up a book and think it might be an okay read. Then you complete 5 or 6 chapters and come to the realization that you've stumbled across one of the top 5 reads of your life. Such is the case with I Am Pilgrim. As far as spy thrillers go, this is hand down the best. Yeah, cannot highly recommend it enough. It is 700 pages of intelligent, engrossing, and breathtaking writing. Yeah, they didn't want it to end, so definitely consider it if you like those sorts of things. But for me, I just didn't care about the backstory so much because I feel like it was building up the character, so I really cared about him. And you guys know I'm more of a plot-driven reader, so I don't know. Maybe this was just too far outside my comfort zone. All right, next up, I DNF'd a graphic novel. Yes, I DNF'd a graphic novel. Another Kind by 𝒍𝒊𝒏𝒌𝒔. This has a 4.40 average star rating with 1K reviews, and I DNF'd this on page 148. Sometimes this is a middle grade graphic novel, and sometimes I feel like the story that I'm getting and then the things that it's talking about, like the social commentary that it's talking about or themes and topics that are brought up in it, don't match up. And I was enjoying it, and I think the art was good, but it's like the real world things that it's like kind of like a fantasy about these like children that have like abilities and like turn into these other kinds of things, and then you have these like real world things in this like fantasy world. I don't know, it just like didn't mesh well in my brain, so I ended up giving up on that one. Like I said, 150-ish pages in. But Marcy Reads here on YouTube, she gave it 5 stars and says, such a fun graphic novel. The artwork is incredible. The stories in each of the issues are filled with important topics ranging from gender to self-love and much more. I had a smile on my face through 80% of it, and the rest were just touching or courageous moments. Maggie will always and forever be my favorite. Highly recommend. So take her word for it, don't take my word for it. And the last book I think is going to cut the deepest. I just DNF'd this book this month. Don't hate me. Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan. I know, I tried, I really did. This one has an average star rating of 4.36 with 76,000 ratings, and I DNF'd it on page 34. It took me 2 days to get there. 2 days to get to page 34. So just like with the Reformatory, I was just dragging my feet and I was doing everything but reading this book, and I don't have time for that at the end of the year, and I just wasn't connecting to the characters. And I know obviously what the plot is about. That is why I wanted to pick it up, is the themes and topics that it discusses in the book. But if I don't care about the characters, I'm not going to be emotionally invested in what's happening to them, and I did not like the characters. So not for me, but tons of people out there obviously have rated this 5 stars, and Abby Jimenez herself gave this book 5 stars. I'm still thinking about this book. So good. Josiah is somehow an alpha cinnamon roll hero. I don't know how Kennedy pulls this off, but she does. He's strong and sexy, but also emotionally intelligent and totally devoted to his family. The conflict was perfect. Excellent mental health rep. Exquisite angst. This was my introduction to Kennedy, and I'm totally hooked. So those are the 16 books that I DNF'd this year, whether it was like for the writing, or I was just really bored, or I didn't connect to the characters. Yeah. So, but you can see that there are other people that love these books. So definitely form your own opinion. If you DNF'd any of the same books that I did, I would love to know down in the comments. But more than that, I just want to know if you do DNF your books, because there's people out there that don't, and I know they trudge through the books, and I'm like, why waste time on books you're not enjoying when there's so many other books out there to read and enjoy? Anyway, thank you guys so much for being here today. Thank you for watching. I hope you're having a lovely day or night, and I'll see you guys again in another video very soon. Bye, friends.